It's summertime, and you're lounging around your house. Maybe it's hot outside, maybe you're sick of playing video games, or maybe you just want to try something different. What if I told you there was a way to pass the time that even the ancient Egyptians enjoyed? A game so popular that some pharaohs were even buried with it so they could enjoy it in the afterlife. That game is Senet. Let's go back to the time when everything was happening for the first time. It's the year 3500 BC, and the sun is setting over the Nile River. In an ancient Egyptian home, the day's heat has finally started to fade, and a cool breeze is beginning to blow. Inside, two friends are relaxing after a long day of work. Ah, what are those? Friends. Oh, you know how it is. You've just finished dinner, and you're looking for a fun way to spend the evening. They decide to entertain themselves by playing a game called Senet. Sunlight streams gently through a window, illuminating the two friends sitting cross-legged on the floor. Between them lies a Senet board, its squares worn smooth from years of play. The rules of Senet are simple enough. Each player begins with 5 pieces, and the goal of the game is to navigate your pieces safely across the board and off the board before your opponent does. However, like most games, the simplicity of the rules belie a surprisingly complex web of strategy and chance that makes Senet endlessly fascinating and deeply competitive. The game starts with each player placing their 5 pieces on the 3 starting squares of their respective halves of the board. The sticks are placed in a pile at the center of the board, and 1 stick is removed to determine who goes first. If it's your turn and there are no pieces directly behind your frontmost piece, you may move any of your pieces 1 square forward, but if there is a piece behind it, you must roll the sticks to determine how far you can move. Depending on the throw, the sticks can land in various configurations, each representing a different number of spaces you can move your piece. And yes, just like in real life, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. If you roll doubles, you can move twice in your turn. If you roll a 1, well, unfortunately, you can't move at all and it's your opponent's turn. And these are only the basics of the game. There are many more rules and nuances that determine when you can capture your opponent's pieces or be captured yourself. Safe zones where your pieces can rest and regroup, and much more. One friend moves a piece with a confident smile. "Ha! I've captured your piece again," they say. "You'll have to think carefully now." The other friend laughs, picking up the sticks used to determine their next move. "Oh, this is not over. The gods favor me today," they reply, a playful glint in their eyes. The first friend leans forward, cautioning, "Careful, 1 wrong move and you're out of luck." But the second friend is unfazed. "I'll take my chances. This game is about skill and a little luck." And so the game continues. The two friends are so absorbed in their match that they lose track of time. The shadows grow longer as the sun begins its descent, but they don't notice. They tease and strategize with each move, arguing playfully about the best path across the board and trash-talking their opponent's bad luck. Suddenly, the second friend's piece lands on a square next to an opponent's piece. "Aha!" he says triumphantly. "You've set a trap for me, but I see right through it." He carefully considers his options and decides to risk it all. He moves his piece forward, hoping to reach a safe square before his opponent can capture him. The first friend smiles knowingly. He knew this move was coming, and he has a trick of his own. As his friend's piece moves forward, he slides his piece into position to capture it. "Sorry, friend, but it looks like you've been captured," he says with a grin. "It's my turn now." His friend groans playfully and places his piece back on its starting square. "Well, don't feel bad," he says with a laugh. "There's still plenty of time to make a comeback after what seems like hours of play." The second friend's pieces have made their way across the board and are approaching the safety of the final row. Only 1 more move is needed to win the game. He takes a deep breath, focuses on the board, and makes his final move. His piece glides across the board and lands triumphantly in the last square. "Yes," he exclaims, throwing his arms up in the air. "I've won." His friend congratulates him with a handshake. "Well done," he says. "You almost had me this time." The winner beams with pride as he collects his pieces. Next round, he says confidently, victory will be mine. This ancient game was enjoyed by people of all ages and social classes. Its popularity was so widespread that the ancient Egyptians even created special boards for playing Senet on tombs. Archaeologists have discovered several examples of these game boards carved into the floors of tombs from around 2680 to 2180 BC. These game boards were typically found in the burial chambers of wealthy individuals, such as nobles and pharaohs. For example, the tomb of an ancient Egyptian nobleman named T contains a beautifully preserved example of a Senet board inlaid with ivory and precious stones. It was likely used by Tai and his guests to pass the time while enjoying each other's company. Pharaohs were also buried with Senet sets, as if to ensure that they would never run out of ways to entertain themselves in the afterlife. One of the most famous examples of a Senet board found in a pharaoh's tomb is the one that was discovered in the tomb of Tutankhamun. This board, which dates back to around 1332 to 1323 BC, is made of wood and painted in bright colors. It is one of the best preserved examples of a Senet board from the time period and provides an insight into the gaming habits of the ancient Egyptians. But why exactly were these game boards placed in tombs? It was believed that the ancient Egyptians played Senet as a way to appease the gods and ensure a successful journey through the afterlife. The game was thought to represent the journey of the soul through the underworld, and the pieces were seen as the soul's way of overcoming obstacles and reaching the final destination. It was also believed that by playing Senet correctly, the deceased person could avoid being trapped in the underworld and instead be reunited with their body in the field of reeds, a place of paradise in Egyptian mythology. In fact, some sources suggest that the ancient Egyptians believed that the god Osiris himself, who presided over the afterlife, played Senet with the souls of the dead, and that the outcome of the game determined whether the soul would be allowed to enter the field of reeds. So if you were an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, you might want to brush up on your Senet skills before you die. Who knows, maybe Osiris himself might challenge you to a game and your skills could determine your fate in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians weren't the only ones who enjoyed a good game of Senet. Ancient Greeks, Romans, Chinese and others all had their own versions of the game, each with slightly different rules and pieces. Today, Senet is still played by people all over the world. In Egypt, you can find Senet sets sold in the shadow of the pyramids. In America, Senet clubs have sprung up, and there are even Senet-themed festivals. And because Senet can be played with just a few common household items like dice and paper, it's easy to learn and play anywhere. No matter where you are in the world, if you're looking for a fun and engaging way to pass the time, consider learning to play Senet. You never know. You might just make some new friends or even discover a new passion. And who knows, maybe you'll even impress the gods. So after a long day of work, grab a friend and a Senet board and see who will come out victorious. And remember, keep an eye on the sticks that can make you win or lose. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.